So what if every single student could have their own personal tutor, one that understands exactly how they learn? Well, a technology called Squirrel AI is promising to do just that, and it's aiming to make truly inclusive education a reality. Let's dig into how it all works.
You know, it all really starts with a question that every teacher, parent, and student knows all too well. Imagine a classroom with 30 kids. How does one teacher possibly challenge the students who are flying ahead while also giving enough support to the ones who are struggling? It's this daily juggling act that, well, it feels almost impossible, right? And that is the core problem with the traditional classroom, isn't it? It's this one-size-fits-all approach. And the result is that some students just inevitably get left behind. At the same time, the kids who've already gotten it are held back, bored, and just waiting for everyone else to catch up.
Okay, so how on earth do you solve a problem that seems literally baked into the system? Well, this is where a totally new approach, one powered by AI, starts to enter the picture.
So what is Squirrel AI? At its heart, it's what's called an adaptive learning platform. Basically, it uses AI to build a custom-made learning path for every single student. And it's not static. It changes things up in real time, right there in the moment, based on how that student is doing.
And look, we're not talking about some small-scale experiment here. We're talking over 24 times million students already using this platform. That scale is it's incredible, and it's so important because all those students generate a ton of data for the AI to learn from. Think about this. The system has crunched over 10 billion data points. That's every single right answer, every wrong one, even the pauses, the hesitations. And that's what gives it its power. It's not just about what a student knows, it's about understanding how they think.
Okay, so you have all this data, but how does that translate into a truly personalized experience for, say, Sarah or Tom or any individual student?
Well, the secret sauce is something they call a cognitive model. Instead of just being a scorekeeper, right or wrong, the AI is more like a detective. It's looking at the clues, hesitation patterns, the kind of mistakes a student makes. It's all about building this unique map of how that specific student's brain works. And because it has that deep individual map, it can offer support that's custom fit for all kinds of different learners. For a student with dyslexia, maybe that means presenting information in a different way. For a kid who's flying ahead, it means giving them that next level challenge so they don't get bored. Another really smart thing it does is break down big, complicated topics into tiny, manageable pieces. They call them knowledge components. Think about it like building with Legos, right? You don't just get a finished castle. The system makes sure you know how to click each individual brick together perfectly before you move on. This way, you don't get those little gaps in your knowledge, that Swiss cheese learning that can really trip you up down the road. And this part is so important. All of this feedback, it's instant and it's private. So a student gets something wrong, and right away, privately, they find out why. This is a game changer. It completely reframes mistakes. They're not something to be embarrassed about in front of the whole class anymore. They're just part of learning.
Okay, so the theory sounds amazing, right? Personalized learning, private feedback, it all sounds great on paper. But does it actually work in a real school with real kids? Well, let's take a look at the data.
So let's check out a case study from the Metro School District. After just one semester, the results were pretty stunning. The number of students who needed extra help in math, it dropped by 42%. And at the same time, the number of kids at grade level proficiency, that jumped up by 31%. Those are some serious numbers. But it's not all about the charts and graphs. The district superintendent, Dr. Eliza Ramirez, said what really sold them on it was seeing kids who had totally checked out suddenly become engaged, active, and even confident in their learning.
And this has a huge impact on fairness, on equity. Take English language learners, for example. The achievement gap between them and native speakers, it shrank by 34% in just 1 year. That is a massive step towards leveling the playing field. So, we've seen the data, we've heard about the algorithms. But what does this actually feel like for the real people involved, for the teachers in the trenches and the students at their desks?
This is a really critical point, because the first thing people worry about is AI replacing teachers. But that's not the idea at all. It's about empowering them. The teacher's role it shifts. They're no longer the sage on the stage, Instead, they get to be a mentor, a guide. They're freed up to give that one-on-one help that's so incredibly valuable. Listen to how one teacher, James Wilson, described it. He said he's not just standing up there explaining the same procedures over and over again. Now, he's actually having real, meaningful conversations with his students about math.
He's getting to the why, not just the how.
And the whole system is built on his really simple but powerful idea: mastery-based advancement. It just means you don't move to the next level until you've actually, truly mastered the one you're on. This is huge because it builds a super solid foundation. And for kids who struggle, it breaks that horrible cycle of feeling like they're always falling behind.
And for me, this might be the most powerful part of the whole story. It's how it can change a student's idea of themselves. This quote from a middle schooler just says everything. I used to believe I was just bad at math. Now I see that I just needed different explanations and more time. Wow, that's a shift from I'm a failure to I just need a different approach. That's absolutely life-changing.
So let's zoom out. You take the tech, you look at the results, you see the human impact. What does this all tell us about where learning might be headed?
When you boil it all down, the promise of something like Squirrel AI is pretty clear. First, you get learning paths that are actually personalized. Second, you get real, data-backed results. Third, you get teachers who are empowered to be mentors, not just lecturers. And maybe the most important thing of all, you get students who are more confident and more resilient.
And all of this leaves us with a really big, important question to chew on. If AI gets really good at handling the personalized instruction, the what and how of learning, then what is the new role for the human teacher? What are the things that only a human can do? What becomes the most essential, irreplaceable part of their job? Now that's something to think about.